Welcome back to the United Survivalist Network of Ontario. I'm Joe, and today we're just going to talk to you a bit about knives. As you can see, I just finished making a handle for one of these knives, and that's one thing about knives that you're going to carry in your pack, or at least one of the things you should look for when you're buying a knife for your pack or for your survival needs, is a full tanged knife, okay, or a solid piece of steel running from the handle to the tip, okay, kind of like this one. This one doesn't have a handle yet, so we've made one, basically, just by wrapping paracord around it. It's comfortable, and it'll do the trick, and it gives me a little bit of paracord to go with my knife. Today, I wanted to talk about just a few basic pointers in choosing a knife for your survival needs. Okay, folders, always handy to have. You can carry them with you anywhere you go. This one happens to be one of my favorites, and it's the Gerber Gator. The liner lock on this one, or the liner nut, is a bit stiff, which I don't mind at all, but as you can see, it's a drop point, and that just happens to be one of my favorite style of blades. It's got a very comfortable handle and a heavy blade. This would be an excellent option for an everyday carry knife, along with a fire starter and a piece of paracord as a basis to your everyday survival kit that you would carry with you. So that's the Gerber Gator. Another fine example of everyday carry would be the Buck Ranger, or I believe it used to be called the Buck 110. There again, when you're choosing this type of knife or any folder, make sure it's got a good solid lock. Okay? The last thing you want to do is have that knife come back and fold over on your hand, causing a cut along your knuckles or your thumb if it happens to be in the way. Another one that's a fine example of a folder is a Kershaw. This one they call an assisted opening knife. It's got a little tab at the top of the knife, which will open the blade just like this, and then the thumb stud. Or it's got a little button here that you press forward, and it assists you in opening the knife quickly. Handy if you should have one hand tied up and you need to get the knife out quickly with the other. As well as a drop point, and this particular model comes with a belt clip, which you can just basically hang in with. Alright, so along with that, I wanted to just show you something else when choosing a knife. Okay, stay away from the Rambo wannabes. Okay, this particular one has a hollow handle. Okay, so we'll just unscrew it. As you can see, hollow handle, comes with a compass, a cheesy saw, and you can't open it. This knife here, should you break the handle on it, all you're left with is a blade and no way to attach another handle. Okay, you could probably wrap paracord around it, like I've done here, but in time you run the risk of the blade wearing through the paracord, possibly causing an injury. The other thing to use this particular knife on a hardwood tree. You'll notice the compass in the end. Your compass will no longer be accurate. The use of this knife on a hardwood tree throws your compass off. So, if you can help it, don't buy one of them. The other type of knife I wanted to show you that is these defensive knives. Although they're a good knife, this happens to be a cold steel Recon Tonto, which is an extremely well-made knife. Heavy, comfortable, guaranteed for life. It is a defensive knife. Okay, this knife was made for slashing and stabbing. There again, it doesn't lend itself to survival situations very well. If this was the only knife you had in a survival situation, it will get you by. Okay, but there again, it is a defensive knife, really not made for the survivalists. The other knife I'd like to show you today, my youngest son got this for Christmas, and it's called a Seal revolver, made by SOG. And in the handle, I'm going to hold it flat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that when I press the button, it brings a pin up. Okay, so just like that, and the knife can revolve. Push the pin back in, it locks into place. Now you have a saw. Now normally myself, I don't really care for the type of handle material that is on this knife, but I do like the fact that it's solid, that it's one piece of steel from here to here. In a survival situation, I can wrap something around this part of the blade to allow me to use this knife. There again, this is a Seal revolver, and it too has a very good lock. So this is another particularly neat kind of knife. This is another Kershaw, okay, and this is the military boot knife. Okay, it's not your standard dagger. It does have a belly on it. It's one solid piece of steel from here to here, okay, which makes the knife very strong. It's rounded, so it's not going to cause you blisters with heavy use. The one thing I want to mention about this particular type of knife is the case. It's got a positive lock-in case, and the case gives you several mounting options, including around your neck, where a lot of people like to carry their knives. So that's the Kershaw military boot knife. The next knife I'll show you is what they call a camp knife. Now this is the cold steel camp knife, and if you're familiar with knives at all, this is kind of fashioned after one of the Gurkha knives. It's got a big belly. It's great for chopping, clearing underbrush, doing firewood, or chopping firewood, and all those heavy camp chores that you may run into. Very good pack knife if you don't carry an axe. And if you don't carry an axe, I highly recommend you carry something like this. Okay? Good. Now some of you may recognize from the videos, this is my K-bar. I'm very fond of it. It's a heavy knife, that I found will do just about any camp chore that I could possibly run into, from building traps to skinning an animal to chopping firewood to building shelters. Okay? The handle is very comfortable. It's rounded. And it's never yet caused me a blister. Okay? And one of the nicer features of this knife is it's got that flat end cap, which is very good for pounding things in with. And it's just an all-around great knife to have. So, as a survivalist knife, definitely one to consider. Here's another type of knife. Okay, this is a old-timer Skinner. Very light, very sharp, and basically a smaller knife. But as you can see, there again, as they all have in common, the knife actually starts here, ends here, and it's one solid piece. So if I should break the handle, I can make handle options, and it is a well-known knife company with a good reputation, as with Ka-Bar, Cold Steel, SOG, Gerber. Okay, they are all quality knives. They're all knives that have been tested and proven in the field by a lot of different people. So the point is, if you're going to go and spend money on a knife that you may have to count on when the things get tough, get a quality knife. Okay? When you do choose your knife, choose a quality sharpening system, I guess, whatever you want to call it. When I'm at home, I use a Arkansas stone, a hard one, with oil. Although when I'm out in the trail, what I prefer to carry is just a little sharpener. One side it's got coarse, on the other side it's got fine. It does a pretty good job of putting an edge back on my knife. And the thing I should mention, if after heavy use, just run it through the sharpener a couple times. As you know, or maybe you don't, it's harder to sharpen a very dull knife than it is to sharpen one that's just been used. So basically, it's very simple. 1, 2, 3. Same thing on the fine. 1, 2, 3, and it puts an edge back on your knife. Okay. If you're at home, throw a little bit of oil on it, and then put it away, back in its sheath. Okay, and there you go. It's going to be ready for the next time that you go out. And the process is basically the same for any knife that you own. Put a good edge on it. In your pack for a sharpener. At home, you can put an edge on it with an Arkansas stone and oil. Take care of your knife, because your knife's going to take care of you. This has been Joe for the United Survivalist Network of Ontario, and we'll see you back out in the bush.